Hello and welcome back to the channel. For this video tutorial, I will be demonstrating how to create a plan view, simple quick sketch in the Concepts app. Remember, our Concepts app is an app where we have an opportunity to create and draft at an infinite boundary, meaning that there are no borders or boundaries for us to draft within. We have a full canvas, as you can see, that allows us to create and even take notes on. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and even leave comments to the channel. Before you get started in your Concepts app, you definitely want to make sure that you go to your settings and create and set up your workspace. For this, I will be using a plain white background. I do want to have my grid turned on to help me with some drafting. And as far as my artboard, I'm going to go ahead and set my drawing up to have an artboard of 17 by 11. And then I would like my drawing scale, I'm going to keep it at a 1:1 scale. If you're working on a smaller screen or iPad device, if you're using your iPad or even if you're using your Windows laptop, you can go ahead and scale your drawing to 1 inch to 24 inches. So that means for every inch you have 2 feet. And that helps you with getting and fitting all of your drawing into the view of your screen. Also, I'm going to leave my display units as imperial and in inches. And then with the tool set up, as far as if you like to have a tool wheel, you can have your wheel set if it's already the default for your device, or you can change it to the bar. I particularly like to have mine set to my bar, and this is again a preference. Once that is completed, the next thing I recommend doing is go ahead to your drawing name. Right now in my top left corner, it says drawing 7, but I'm just going to tap that, and this is where I'm going to rename my drawing. And I am going to call this my chair plan. And then hit my rename button, and now my drawing is renamed. Now let's go ahead and get to it. I would like to have a few layers set up. So on my original layer, here I have my pen, which is the layer that I'm going to create on. But I'm going to go ahead and rename this. And I'm going to tap that A and call it my furniture layer. I will also like to add other layers at this time. Again, this is a preference. You can do it along the way or before you start drafting. If I tap new layer, I'm going to tap on that new layer and name this my dimensions, because I do want to have dimensions shown. And then for now, we'll leave those 2 layers as is. So we have our dimensions, furniture, and then of course our dot grid, which is our grid that we have turned on right now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my furniture layer because this is a layer that I'm going to draft on. I do have on my precisions over to my right, over to my left, and I have my grid turned on so that I can see my grid. If you want to enlarge your grid size, you would just tap on it and it would bring you to your workspace, and you can go edit your grid and you can make your spacing larger, your line weight heavier. Again, these are preferences or as needed. For now, I'm just going to leave my spacing at 1 inch. And then I'm going to bring my line weight down to 1 point. The opacity option is here as well, so you can darken or lighten your opacity of what you want to see from your grid. To help me create, I'm going to make sure that I have my snaps turned on. And in those options, tapping your option, I want to make sure that I have Snap to Grid on. I also want to go ahead and tap and have my measure on so that I can track and see my measurements of my lines as I work. Again, this is something that will help you with creating your drawings accurately. In selecting my first tool, I'm going to go and double tap on my first tool. And for my brushes, I'm going to make sure that I am drafting in my pen. I want to have this increased to 1/8 of an inch. I would like my opacity to be 100, and I want my smoothness to be straight lines only, and I'm going to have that increased to 100%. I'm going to go ahead and decrease my line weight as well. And then let's go and change my color to black. In creating my first line, I'm going to provide these measurements for you. We're going to draft a simple plan view of a chair that is 39 inches by 37 inches. So, picking a point on your artboard that you have set up or your canvas, I'm going to just draft my line, one line, a vertical line starting for me, and you can go to 39 inches exactly, or you can just begin to draft. And once you have your line on your screen, you can simply select your line by choosing your arrow from your toolbar, highlighting the line or the object you want to grab, and if you press and hold on that measurement, you can type in what you would like for that line length to be. So I'm going to go with 37 inches. For me, this shows to be a little large on my screen. So that means I'm going to go ahead and change. If I go to undo, well, I can leave it there. I'm going to go to my settings and go back to my workspace. And I'm going to change my drawing scale. So I too need to come 1 inch and 24 inches. So that means for every 1 inch of my line is 24 inches. So this is my new drawing scale. So now when I go and create my vertical line here, and I select it, and I hold on that measurement so I can change the length of that line to 37 inches, it now fits on my artboard. To remove the lines that I don't want, I can just select this line and go ahead and hit that trash can so I can delete it. Remember, when we want to move any of our lines around, all we need to do is use our arrow from our tool and select it with our pen or our finger, and it will allow us to move and grab this line that we created around. Next, I'm going to draft my horizontal line. In creating that line, once again, I can simply be precise in creating the line and stopping to my length that I'm going to pick would be 39 inches. Or I can draft a line, select it, and go ahead and press and hold on my measurement and put in the actual measurement I'm looking for. This is going to be 39 inches. Now that I have these two lines drawn, I can join them together if I did not connect them to begin with. So in selecting a line, I'm going to just simply move it, and it will snap to the line that it needs to connect to. And we're just going to repeat this. You can either repeat this or you can copy your lines. I do recommend to copy your lines. So if you select your horizontal line and you get your edit options here, you can choose to have this copied by selecting the rectangles or the squares that are in between the paper clip and the lock. Once you tap that, it will say duplicated. And from here, you can take your finger or your pencil and move your line that you're duplicating in place. And just simply tap anywhere on your screen to come out of the tool. And we can repeat this for the vertical side as well. Selecting that vertical line, we're going to duplicate this by tapping our rectangles. It tells us at the top of our screen, duplicate it. And now we can slide and move the line over into place. I'm going to move this some more. Now this is small. We can zoom in, and I'm going to zoom in for you just so you can see. I didn't want to create anything big here. I want to just show the basics of using our concepts. So now we have our square shape that we're going to have for the base of our chair. At this point, now we're going to create the arms of a chair and what that looks like from a plan view. So we're going to simply copy our two vertical lines to create our side arms on the left and the right of our chair. Using your select tool again, which is the arrow from your toolbar. Remember, if you don't have the arrow in your toolbar, like right now I have 3 of them, and I'll show it again how to get them. You can simply double tap on any of the other tools that are in your bar, and it will open up your brushes and your tools that are in, or that you can select for your wheel. You want to scroll down to where it says tools, and you want to select where it says the arrow selection tool. When I pick this, that will now change to be the tool in my bar. So this is how we get our arrow or our different tools on our tool wheel or toolbar. Now using that select tool, I'm going to select, let's start with the left side, the left vertical line of my chair. And then I'm going to say copy or duplicate. And I'm going to just simply slide my line over. And we see a measurement that is showing the distance in between these two vertical lines. If I stop and simply press and hold on that distant measurement, I'm going to redo that because I was just going a little slow. It's going to bring up your measurement bar, and it will allow you to put in your measurement. So I'll show that again. I have the line selected. I'm going to go duplicate, press and hold on that measurement. Mine on my screen says 10 7/8 of an inch. When it brings up your measurement, it has offset the X. So we're on the X axis. And it's a positive number because we see it's grayed out as a positive number. So we're going to type in the distance that we want this to be. The arms of our chair are going to be 5 inches apart. So we're going to say 5 inches and hit our enter. And it automatically snaps that line to 5 inches. We can repeat this on the right side as well. So selecting my vertical line on the right, using the duplicate, I'm going to slide this in. I like to use this, again, press and hold method. And now it opens up, again, my measurements, and I have my offset here. Notice now on my offset, the X says negative 9 3/4. It's negative because we're going in the opposite direction. So now we're going to put in the negative measurement, and that is going to be a negative 5 inches because, again, our arms of our chair are going to be measured 5 inches. So negative 5 inches so that it snaps to the inside, and it does. Now if I scroll in here, notice that The arms of my chair here, this arm that I created on the inside here, it does not touch the other. Remember, we can select using our arrow tool and highlight and circle that. If it has scale turned off at the bottom of your screen, we can turn this on so that we see stretch. And using the pen or your finger and grabbing any of these end points where we have our dots, we can stretch and lengthen our line, or we can even shorten it at the bottom if these aren't connecting. Now we have the side arms of our chair, and then we can have a chair where we even have a back. So let's put in a backing, and let's say our back is 5 inches as well. So I'm going to select my top horizontal line, create myself an offset, or instead of doing that, let's say we're going to put in the cushion of our chair. We'll do that, and then we'll get the size of the back of the chair from where our cushion stops. So from the front of our chair, we have a seat cushion that measures 21 inches. So let's select the front horizontal line, which is the bottom of our chair drawing. And we're going to duplicate this line, and we're going to move it up, and it's going to have a spacing of 21 inches. So you can eyeball it and drop it at 21, or you can use the press and hold method by pressing on that measurement and typing in the measurement that you want. Again, my line is not quite to the end, so I'm going to select the line, use my grippers here and stretch this out on one side and shorten it on the other. And I actually want to undo that. I'm human and I make mistakes as well. Here we have our chair measurement being off. So I'm going to select that line, and I do apologize. That measurement for our seat cushion is actually not 21, it's 31 inches. So here we have our chair. Now we need to go and clean up some lines here. We're going to clean up and show that the arms of our chair go and meet the back of the backing of the chair. So using your slice tool, which is your erase, we're going to go through and erase what we don't need. If you need to have a refresher of what your tools are and where to find them, when I'm saying a slice tool or a selection tool, you definitely can watch other videos attached to the channel that will give you the guide and the rundown of how to navigate through your Concepts app. So now we have our entire furniture piece created. So this is a plan view of our chair. Now we need to add things like our dimensions, and then we also need to have some text. So if I switch to my dimension layer, maybe I want to use a different brush style. If I tap and bring in another brush style, maybe our wire, I can change my color by changing it on my wheel here. And I would like my line weight to be still pretty straightforward. because I don't want to, I'm going to decrease the thickness of that line as well, because I don't want this to be free-handed right now. So I want to keep my smoothness at 100% so that my lines are concrete. But switching to, again, that dimension layer, I know now that everything I draft here is only dimensions and it's only on this particular layer, and it keeps my drawing organized. So we're going to go ahead and draft our dimension strings. You can create one dimension string. Select this and then copy it to the other side. So we know our dimension strings are the exact same size. And we don't have to worry about trying to get, eyeball a line length. Now we have our vertical ones and we need our horizontal ones. Once again, we can select the line. We can copy this. And let's say we want our dimensions on the left side here. Now that we have it and it looks vertical, if we use our triangles, the very last triangle set allows us to flip this around, or we can come off, have it selected, and we do have our rotate at the bottom of the screen is on. We can just rotate this around. But notice when we rotating it, it's stretching. So to avoid the stretching, we want to make sure that our stretch and scale is turned off. And I just double tapped at the bottom of my screen where I have the word stretch or scale, so that it now says scale off. And now if I take my fingers and rotate my line to a vertical line to a horizontal line, we now have a horizontal line that is started for our dimension string. And once again, select it again, duplicate it so that we can bring it to the opposite end. Now we can complete our dimensions. I'm going to draft myself zoom in, draft myself just another horizontal line. I am going to copy this, bring it here, use my slice tool to remove the center where I'm going to put my measurement, and even maybe shorten up my ends. Because remember, we don't need 4 dimension strings to be extremely long. And then I'm going to select this line here, and let's simply rotate it and bring it over into place. And again, use your slice tool to shorten the length of your dimension string lines and remove the center. So this is the proper way for interior designers and architects and engineers when we are setting up our dimensions on our drawings. And then from here, we can create, using our line or a wire tool, another line to draft in our tick mark. I'm simply going to draft one line. I'm going to now select this line here, and I'm going to rotate it. And as I rotate, I'm going to move it to an angle and a corner where I want it to be, and I have my tick mark. Remember, when you are creating dimension strings for designers, all of our tick marks on our drawing go in the same direction. So once we have one created, we can select it and of course duplicate it and drop it where we want it to go. Duplicate it again and bring it to all of the points, duplicate it again, where we want this to go. My dimension strings are a little exaggerated for this drawing, not much, but it's definitely here for you to make sure that you can see them. At this point, we can draft in or write in our measurements. I'm going to stay on my dimension layer, and I'm going to just use my freehand text. And I'm going to to get that, I'm going to bring my smoothness down to 0 or 2%. But you want to bring it down low so that you now can draft and write in text freehanded. So my first measurement up top was 39 inches. So now I can type in 39. Notice that when I tried to do that, I still have my straight lines. If I go undo, I want to make sure I have something turned off. And that is my snap to grid. Now that I have snap to grid turned off, I can actually write in my measurements. Because now my lines are free. I'm going to zoom in. My lines are free and they are not connected to my grid in any type of way. So we have 39 inches for one side, and then we also have 37 inches. Now, as you can see, I still have these measurements attached to what I just wrote. If I go to my precision and turn off my measure, it'll remove those. So we have a chair that is on our furniture layer, and then we also have our dimensions. Now we're going to add our text. By adding a new layer here, I'm going to rename this layer, and I'm going to call it text. So anything that I have in text will be written or created on this layer. I'm going to tap on my A for my tool bar. Again, if you don't have your A text in, you can double tap on any of the tools that you have in your wheel or on your bar and go to your tools or your brushes if it was a brush needed and choose to have that in your options. For my lettering or my text, I am going to go ahead and again use black so that my lettering is in black color. And if I just tap anywhere on my screen, my add label comes up and I can put in what I want this to be titled. And I'm going to call it my chair plan view. With my mouse, with my finger or my pen, I can move this title anywhere. I'm going to choose to put it as such. If I wanted to include a scale underneath it, I could do so. For now, I'm going to leave it as chair plan view and scroll out of my drawing. Now we can make sure everything is on the layer that it belongs on. If I turned off my furniture layer, everything should remain but my furniture. Perfect. Turn the eyeball back on. If I turn off my dimensions, my dimension layer, all my dimensions should leave. And they do. If I turn off my text should leave. And they do. I hope this video helps with navigating once again through your Concepts apps and understanding how to draft to a particular scale. Whenever you want to move everything at one time, so let's say now we want to create another drawing on our canvas artboard that we created. Maybe we want to have a lot of little pieces of furniture, images. We can use our select tool. Once we have our select tool selected, which is that arrow, at the bottom of your screen, we're saying select. And if you see the word all, everything means your layer symbols, all of your layers. So we want to move all of our layers at one time. So that means when we go to grab this, everything is selected and we can move everything at one time. Nothing needs to be separated. If we only want to move maybe the current layer that we're working on, we'll tap the word all and it'll say active. That means the layer that you are currently working on. The layer that we're working on, if you look in your layer drop down, is selected as text. So when I go to move, it's only going to move and pick my text. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and even leave comments to the channel. And stay tuned next Wednesday for another What Do You Know Wednesday video.